Welcome into KSL Sports Rewind, our preseason rankings video brought to you by Tab Bank. And Dane, Stewart, Jeff Hansen. Jeff, crazy to think we're ready for another year of football.
Only 2 seasons, man. There's football season and waiting for football season. We're through the long, dreary waiting for football season.
It's football season, and we thought what better way to kick it off than to show you our top 25 and a handful of teams to keep an eye on with the season right around the corner. With that, let's dive right into our first video. We will start 25 through 21. Let's start with our 25th ranked team, the Bingham Miners, coming in at number 25 this year in our preseason top 25. Jeff, 25.
That was hard. We talked a lot about Bingham being 25th. That feels low for a Bingham team, but this is a team that had a lot of turnover. There were a lot of players that transferred out. Say what you will about transfers. It's the name of the game in 2025. So they lost a lot of talent, but they're still Bingham. And Coach Johnson's been there for a long time. It's a young group once again. I think that there's a ton of talent on that group. I look at Suka Finau. I look at some of the guys on that offensive line. Toya on the offensive line is phenomenal. They've got some dogs, but that's a young and experienced team.
Yeah, in fact, it's one that, look, we failed to do this early because we just missed it.
We failed.
That might be a little bulletin board material, having Bingham show up at old number 25, the Bingham Miners. Bulletin board, Bingham, in case you need it. There you go. Coming in at number 24, Jeff, we've got a defending champion, Crimson Cliffs.
Yeah, you talk bulletin board material.
Whew.
They win back-to-back state champs, and they open up at 24 to start the year. They've got to feel slighted like at that. Coach Olofopo's done a phenomenal job with that Crimson Cliffs program. He has built that into a championship program. They're going to contend year after year. They lost a lot from those championship teams, but they have guys coming back. I look at Major Stokes, just a sophomore, but one of the best defensive players in the state of Utah this year. They've got some running game coming back. They have some pieces along that offensive line, and they've got a championship DNA in that coaching staff between Coach Olofopo and Coach Stokes. I really like what they've got.
Major Stokes. For those of you who watched a little sitcom not too long ago. Look, it's seniors replacing seniors for Crimson Cliffs. And they got young guys, I don't want to say young guys, they got guys who have played in games, but they're going to have opportunities to really step up and make plays for this team. When you look at guys like Nate Entz, Bryce Strickland, he's a returner, big contributor last year on the defensive side. Jackson Holt comes back for that offense. And again, there's an opportunity for new seniors to keep the tradition of that program going as they're looking for their 3rd state championship in 3 years. All right, let's move to number 23, shall we? We'll stay in 4A, Jeff. How about Green Canyon? The Wolves coming in at 23.
Green Canyon, I'm really excited for Cache Valley football in general this year. There's a lot of good teams up in Cache Valley. Green Canyon is right there. I think Hayden Schramm might be the best wide receiver in the state of Utah that we don't talk about at all.
Yeah.
He's very good. He's coming on. I think he had 1,300 yards last year as just a junior. He's very good. He's got the size. One thing that's underrated about that program that we haven't talked a lot about, I don't know that very many people have, Coach Tauili, he took over that program. It was a new school. He's 18-7 since taking over a pretty new program. That's impressive. He is a championship type of a coach. Comes from that Lehigh pedigree with Coach Larson.
Yep.
He's bringing that mentality to Green Canyon. I love what the Wolves have on this team.
They made it to a semifinal, I think, in his first year, right?
Yeah.
Really rode the defense. And I thought last year you saw that offense take some next steps. We'll see if they can continue to grow in what's going to be an absolutely loaded region in 4A. Let's move to number 22, shall we? Just doesn't feel like a preseason top 25 without talking about the Springville Red Devils.
Well, you can't talk about the Springville team without talking about the running game. I mean, this is what Coach Valetti does in that team. And he's got a pair of really good running backs. One he's familiar with, and Lisi Valetti, he's pretty good at finding ways to get those guys into the end zone. And then Max Harris comes back. I think he had 120, 130 rushing yards per game last year. He's back for this Springville team. That's as good of a duo in a backfield as I can see in that region. And you look at what they do offensively. You look at the way they run the ball. You look at the way that offensive line plays. There's a lot to like about the Red Devils.
There is. You talk about that offensive line. They graduated a multi-year starter up front, D1 kid. So be interesting to see if they can replace that, how well they can replace that. That running game, obviously very pivotal on having big boys up front. But if there's one thing you know about Springville, they play physical, they play hard, they're bought in, and they play for their community. There's a special feel about Springville High School irregardless of sport. It's awesome to see. But Springville coming in at 22. All right, our last one in this first group, number 21. The Timpanogos Timberwolves.
I love it. The Timpanogos Wolves. I'm going to let you talk about Andrew Hillstead because you're always reminding me that, hey, he threw for 3,000 yards,
Yeah.
Jeff. Don't forget Hillstead. I want to talk about a pair of pass rushers in Marley Osefo and Jesse King. Each of them had more than 7 sacks last year. That's a really good and experience. You look at the way that transfers happen in this day and age, it's hard for a program like Timpanogos to hold on to those guys who have stats as underclassmen. They're both back. That's going to be a really dynamic pass rush for this defense, and we know that Timpanogos offense is going to be able to score.
It should be able to score. If I recall correctly, I think a couple of their receivers graduated, but they still have other guys coming back. I think they returned some guys up front as well to protect Hillstead. But this is a young man who transferred to Timpanogos, and last year really jumped on the scene. I mean, I did not expect that out of Timpanogos, their offense. But you're right. I mean, had a very prolific year. You mentioned Hayden Schramm being one of the receivers that doesn't get talked about enough. Andrew Hillstead is probably the quarterback that doesn't get talked about enough. And this is a group of quarterbacks we'll talk about as the season goes on. It's a very talented group. Andrew Hillstead among that group, and he's got Timpanogos right outside the top 20 in our preseason top 25. 21, your Timpanogos T-Wolves, Springville at 22, Green Canyon 23, Crimson Cliffs at 24, and Bingham at 25. There's your first group in our preseason top 25. Come back to KSLSports.com. The rest of the week we'll be releasing 5 teams at a time every day leading up to our regular season kickoff. For Vince Francis, Jeff Hansen, my name is Dane Stewart. Thank you so much for joining us here on KSL Sports Rewind preseason top 25 rankings video brought to you by Tab Bank.